Okay, good afternoon. So today is our second week of our lesson, and we are going to discuss new topic. All right. So before we proceed, let us first have a review of what we had discussed about assess quality of received materials. We had discussed last meeting that there are the things to be considered when receiving materials. So first, we have to match the packing slip to the items received and ensures that the materials are destined onto your department. Second is that you are receiving the materials indicated on the purchase order with regard to quantity and discount. And then third, that the materials are in acceptable condition. And fourth, that the terms regarding installation and or setup of equipment are met. The receiving of reports. So in receiving of reports, whenever goods are received, you have to the person receiving the goods must document using the administrative software that all goods were received for each requisition rather before any payment can be made to the vendor. Second, any exceptions must be noted so that partial payments can be processed or defective goods can be returned. And also, in return of merchandise, when the merchandise received is incomplete or defective, the supervisor will return to the materials to the supplier or to the store where it was bought and make arrangements with the vendor for replacement. And also for make an inventory report for of the materials. So in making an inventory, all materials received must be listed and be reported to monitor how many materials are already on hand, purchased, or damaged. So effective management checks are an important means of providing assurance of the integrity and security of the benefit processes. So they are also useful in identifying training needs, so indicating possible weaknesses in procedure and ensuring the section meets its accuracy target set for best value performance indicators purposes. So now we are going to proceed on assess own work. How are you going to assess your own work? So here, when a workplace procedure, when you say workplace procedure, it is a set of written instructions that identifies the health and safety issues that may arise from the jobs and tasks that make up a system of work. So a safe working procedure should be written when designing a new job or task, changing a job or a task, introducing new equipment, reviewing a procedure when problems have been identified. So example from an accident or incident investigation. And then this here on the picture, what can you see on the picture? So as you can see in the picture, it's a man doing his work. It's called multitasking work. All right. So the safe working procedure should identify if the teacher for the task or job and the students who will undertake the test. Second is the tasks that are to be undertaken that pose risks. Third, the equipment to be used in these tasks. Fourth, the control measures that have been formulated for these tasks. Any training or qualification needed to undertake the task. The personal protective equipment to be worn. Action to be undertaken to address safety issues that may arise while undertaking the task. So following certain procedures is very important to perform a given operation. So I will show you a table below that shows different elements and their corresponding performance criteria to be able to identify occupational health and safety hazards and assess risks, so as well as follow instructions and procedure in the workplace with minimal supervision. So the students will also be capable of participating on and contributing to OHS management issues. So when you say OHS, it's occupational health and safety hazards. All right, so here we have here the first and the second table. So at the first table, we have the identify hazards and assess risk. So we have to identify hazards in the work area and during the performance of the workplace duties, and also assess the level of risk. And then the second one, we have the follow procedures and strategies for risk control. So we have three. We have to report hazards in the work area to designated personnel according to workplace procedures, follow workplace procedures and work instructions for assessing and controlling risk with minimal supervision. And the third one is, whenever necessary, within the scope of responsibilities and competencies, follow workplace procedures for dealing with hazards and incidents, fire, and or other emergencies. Alright, so next table. So we have the contribute to OHS in the workplace. So you have to describe the employee rights regarding consultation on OHS matters. You have to raise tasks and or job specific OHS issues with appropriate people in accordance with workplace procedures and relevant OHS legislative requirements. And then third, you have to contribute to participative arrangement for OHS management in the workplace within organizational procedures and the scope of responsibilities and competencies. So fourth, you have to provide feedback to supervisors on hazards in work area in line with organizational OHS policies and procedures. And also the fifth, you have to provide support in implementing procedures to control risks in accordance with organizational procedures. And then also when you say work instruction, so the work instruction may use verbal, written in English, in a community language, provided visually, like for example video, OHS signs, presentations. So those are an example. So next, we have here controlling risks in the work area may include the application of the hierarchy of control, namely the eliminate the risk, reduce, minimize the risk through engineering controls, administrative controls, and personal protective equipment. So next is the reports identifying workplace hazards may be verbal or written, and those includes verbal and written are the face-to-face, the phone messages, the notes, the memos, and especially signed reports. And also, we have here an examples of OHS issues which may need to be raised by workers, and designated personnel may include hazards identified, problems encountered in managing risk associated with hazards, clarification and understanding of OHS policies and procedures, communication and consultation processes, and then also we have the follow-up on reports and feedback, effectiveness of risk controls in place, and training needs. And then also we have an examples of contributions. We have recommendations on changes to work processes, equipment or practices, listening to the ideas and opinions of others in the team, sharing opinions, views, knowledge, and skills, identifying and reporting risks and hazards, and using equipment according to guidelines and operating manuals. And then next, now we are going to proceed with the types and work-related errors. So we have the quantity of work. The first one is the quantity of work. So under it, you have the untimely completion and the limited production. So first is we have the poor prioritizing, timing, scheduling, loss of time, the tardiness. So under the loss of time, we have the tardiness. Tardiness meaning yung mga lates. And then absenteeism, leaving without permission. And then we have the excessive visiting, phone use, break time, use of the internet. So, usually itong sa break time, masosobraan yung mga workers eh. Hindi nila mababantayan yung tamang oras. And that's the reason ma-extend yung time nila. So, makulang na yung time for their works. And then third, we have the misuse of sick leave. Sick leave. So, dito sa misuse of sick leave, kahit walang sakit, yun ang ginagamit nila para lang maka-absent. And then, we have the slow response to work requests, untimely completion of assignments. And then fourth, we have the preventable accidents. And then next is the quality of work. So the quality of work, we have the failure to meet quality standards. So we have here under the inaccuracies or errors. We have the failure to meet expectations for product quality, cost of service. We have the customer or client dissatisfaction and the spoilage and or waste of materials, and also the inappropriate or poor work methods. And then we also have the work behavior which result in performance problems. So these are the work behaviors that may cause your performance bad. Okay, so first is the inappropriate behavior. So under it is often referred to as a poor attitude when you say inappropriate behavior. So we have there the negativism, lack of cooperation and hostility, and then failure or refusal to follow instructions, unwillingness to take responsibility, so passing the buck. Parang pinasa mo sa iba yung trabaho mo, yung responsibility mo. Even it's your work, it's your job, but you passed it to your coworkers. Then insubordination, power games, and then the next one is the resistance to change. So here we have the unwillingness or refusal or inability to update skills, the resistance to policy, procedure, work method, and changes, and also lack of flexibility in response to problems. And then next, we have the inappropriate interpersonal relations. So we have here the inappropriate communication style, like over-aggressive, or you're such very passive. And then you have very impatient attitude, you're inconsiderate, you're argumentative, and then you have destructive humor, your sarcasm, your horseplay, your fighting, and also the inappropriate conflict with others, customers, co-workers, and the last one, we have the inappropriate physical behavior. So under this, we have smoking, eating, drinking, inappropriate places, sleeping on the job, alcohol or drug use. So in sleeping on the job, when you're at work, you should not sleep. You should avoid that one. And then we all understand that you are tired, but when you say work, you have to work. You should not sleep. And also in alcohol, you should avoid drinking alcohol when going to work. Next is the problems with personal hygiene, threatening, hostile, or intimidating behavior. So those five are under the inappropriate physical behavior, and that ends our lesson for today. And um, we are going to continue and have our next lesson, next meeting, but that's next week. And after this, please continue doing the exercise given to you on your LMS. And that could be all. Thank you. Goodbye.